extra end there because it just gets in the way. So now, look what happens. This slides. See how it slides? But the swivel can't go through, and the other end is going to your rod, to your reel. Now what we're going to do is we're going to tie, remember the leader that we made with the little Gamakatsu surgery able, capable hook? We're going to tie that. We're going to tie that to the swivel. Okay? I'm going to use an improved clinch knot. You could have put a loop in here, any kind of knot that's a reasonable knot. I said any kind of knot. Hey look, if the only knot you know is an overhand knot and that's it, well, that beats not knowing a knot. Although those will come out and cost you a fish, but hey, if that's all you know and you can get out there and fish, go for it. Okay, so I'm tying this up, and I didn't wet that one. Should have. Didn't. And by the way, we're doing this indoors because right now it's freezing cold outside where we live here. We live here in the greater Cincinnati area, but we catch trout all over the country. We were out in California about a month ago catching trout out on Lake Mission Viejo, and it was a blast, and those fish are huge. Okay, this is kind of all curled up here, but you notice here's the sliding sinker. I'll move these things out of the way. Here's the sliding sinker. There's the swivel, and there's the single egg hook. And this line here goes out to your fishing rod. So this is what happens. See the swivel? It slides. The sinker is resting on the bottom of the lake, and this line slides. Well, what's the big deal? Well, when the fish takes your line, they don't feel any weight, which is a good thing. Otherwise, they might attempt to spit it out. But also, because they take the line, they can freely run with the line, which means that they have a chance to swallow it really fast, which stocked trout do. They're eating machines. Anyone can catch them, but not everybody knows how to catch them. And I'm going to show you how. This is one of the top rigs. So anyhow, the line runs through here, and it starts pulling, and that's how you know that you got a bite. Now, we're going to go to the whiteboard, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in the water and how to fish it properly, because there's a special way to fish this to make it successful. So David's going to turn this off for just a second. We're going to move up to the whiteboard, and I'm going to show you how it all works. Okay, we're back at the whiteboard here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Remember the snap swivel, we called it, made out of brass. Our egg sinker, 1/8 ounce in this situation. There's all kinds of different sizes, and check your local regulations to make sure that you can use lead, or if you can't use lead, use tungsten, use other materials. And of course our single leg hook, and this is what we were calling the line here. Now you got to watch real carefully because I'm going to show you how to fish this rig. So first of all, the magic of a dry erase marker. Where's my trout? Okay, here's one of my trout here. Keep me company. So here we go with the magic of the magic marker. I'm going to draw you a fishing rod, which I have part of one over here. I don't know if you can really see this. So let's pretend like there's a fishing rod over here. David, can you even see this?
Yeah.
It's kind of tough. Okay, here's a fishing rod, all right? So here's your line. You cast the line out. Now here's the bottom of the lake. All right, here's the lake bottom right here. Over here is the lake bottom. Okay, so your line, you casted the thing out, and so line casts out, and this weight, that slip sinker is down here. We're going to pretend like it's huge just so you can see this. It's down here, resting on the bottom of the lake, and you have the snap swivel here, and then you have this, what we call the leader, and I think I made that one 18 inches. Now this is, there, maybe you could see that better. Okay, there's the leader with the hook on it. Okay, we have our hook that's on the leader. All right, there's the hook right there. Now, so it's resting on the bottom of the lake. Well, what kind of bait are we using? Well, let's assume that the bottom of this lake is just rocky, or maybe it's just sand. Okay, well, if there's just sand there, you can use all kinds of types of bait. But one of my favorite baits to use, whether there's sand or weeds or rocks, is a floating bait. There's all kinds of varieties of floating bait. There's Gulp, made by the Berkeley Company. There's Power Bait, made by the Berkeley Company. As a matter of fact, I have some right here. Now, I don't get paid by these people, but I just want you to know I use their products. Okay, so what happens is this stuff floats. So what you're going to do, you're going to take this hook, and you're going to put a blob in it, maybe about the size of a dime, or if there's huge trout there, don't be afraid to use a really big piece. Now what happens is, it will float this up, okay? Now your line will be floating upwards with the blob of bait, like this. And the blob of bait is on there. And here's that blob of bait, okay? You can make it any kind of shape you want. You typically you make a little ball, jam the hook in it, make sure the hook is well in there, except I like to have the point sticking out barely so you can get a good, fast hook set. Because the trout, they'll set the hook themselves. These hooks are so sharp, they'll set the hook themselves. You don't need to jerk the heck out of it. They're going to set it themselves. Now, look at the line here. It looks really straight. That line's really tight. I don't like it when it's that tight, because what happens is these baits right here, these floating baits, they get really slimy. And they get so slimy, they're slippery. And the trout, hey, the trout goes by. Look, trout don't have hands. They don't touch the bait. They come by. Here comes a trout. Whoa, hey, there's one right now. They don't sniff it. It's not like a bass or a bluegill. They're not doing this. They go wham and they take off. They go with it, man. And they're swallowing it while they're going. So if this is really tight and it pulls on it, it might pull right out of their mouth. So this is what you do. Let a little bit of line out. Keep a little bit of line out. Keep it kind of slack. A little bow in the line. Okay? Even more if you'd like. Alright? Because what will happen is, when you see this line move, all of a sudden the line moved, let's say it's not windy, and all of a sudden the line moved, why did it move? It's not magic, it's because the trout's eating it. And by the time you even pick up your rod, he's probably swallowed it, and all you need to do is start reeling it in. Don't jerk the hook to set the hook, because you're going to yank it right out, or you'll break the line, especially when you're using these 4-pound test leaders, unless you're using a heavier leader. But I still don't recommend you jerking the hook. Just lift the rod nicely and start reeling. And that's it. And this is the Trout Ninja Killer Rig. Now I use floating bait. There's all kinds of different baits to use. Floating baits, I use worms, I use marshmallows, I've used night crawlers, I've used homemade baits, I've used corn. If you have weeds at the bottom of the lake, you don't want to use something that doesn't float, because it ends up in the weeds. So let's say this is all weeds. What if this is all weeds? All weeds, and here's our bait right here. Well, wait a second. The trout can't see it. If they can't see it, you've got a little problem here. So now what you need to do, you just need to make the leader longer. Maybe it needs to be 28 inches. Oh, so through the magic of the magic marker, oh, there's a 20-something inch leader, a 24-inch leader, and now, you know, our hook's up here and it's floating. Make sure you put enough floating bait so it floats. You got to see in the water. Make sure it floats, because the hooks could be a little heavy. So now it's above the weeds, and here comes Mr. Trout, because Mr. Trout's not swimming through these weeds. Mr. Trout's coming up here going, he's swimming above the weeds. So now, oh, Mr. Trout sees, oh, thank you, and jam, and you're on it, man. That's the way to do it. That's the Trout Ninja Killer Rig. This is what I'd like for you to do. At the bottom of this video, there's probably a box for comments. I'd really love for you to tell me what you think about this, and tell me what you want. What would you like to see? How can I help you help me? I'm just asking you for the big favor. Thanks again, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming to Trout Ninja TV, and I look forward to sending you some more videos soon.